Australia, Bathurst, and in particular the 12 Hours race, which many say is one of the greatest races in the world these days. So let's take a look at 5 things that make this race particularly noteworthy. As a bit of racetracks geek, Bathurst is something a little bit different and a little bit special. We've all seen that footage of cars driving across the mountain section, over 6 kilometres of fantastic racetrack and that massive Conrod Straight, brilliantly named because, well, it bends quite a few Conrods from over the years, hasn't it?
It's had like several big crashes, big incidents over the years, and as a circuit it is quite an incredible circuit. It is fast, it is flowing, it has long straights, but it's also got big twisty sections will really challenge the driver and challenge the car as well, but it's huge amounts of elevation. Let's not forget its circuit is Mount Panorama. The kind of elements in a circuit that really can catch a driver out, and we've seen incidents, a lot of incidents at the top of the hill many times over the years. It's like a mishmash of all the great parts of so many circuits the world over, only it's not manufactured. It is part and parcel of the land. These are actual roads that people drive on when the circuit is not an actual circuit.
Now, it's called Mount Panorama, and not for no reason. Those drivers who crash out at the top of the mountain, and there are many because the walls are right next to the track, there is no surrender from this circuit. You cannot make a mistake here because you will be in a solid wall very quickly. Those drivers who crash out will get out of their car, and once they've sort of realised that they're not in this race anymore, will have a lovely view across that part of Australia.
This is, of course, the first round of the Intercontinental GT Challenge. It's 5 endurance races, starting with the Bathurst 12 Hours.
And that being part of the Intercontinental GT Challenge, it means there's going to be a really interesting field because you haven't just got good GT teams from Australia and a few others from outside the country who fancy having a go because it's quite a good race. It actually means you've got the best GT teams in the world coming to Bathurst and slugging it out.
The Liqui Moly Bathurst 12 Hours, of course, starts at 5:45 a.m. First hour to the race starts in the absolute pitch black on the side of a mountain.
So a couple of hours in, you're driving up a mountain, you've got the sun in your eyes.
Yes, and it actually is noted to be one of the great challenges for the race. It's actually the sun rising at that time in the morning. And 12 hours, actually race finishes just as beginning to come into dusk as well.
The 12 Hours is a multi-class race.
Lots of manufacturers, and we cannot ignore the wealth of manufacturers that are taking part in the Bathurst 12 Hours this year. We got Porsche, we got Audi, we got Lamborghini, we got Bentley with their M Sport run cars, you got Nissan, you got Ferrari, there's the Acura Honda program, you got McLaren's, there's the Aston Martin, there's the Mark IIs as well. It's an incredible list and a huge depth across the field.
You mentioned those Mark Mustang cars. Now they're pretty unique to Australia. They race in a few other places around the world, but they're manufactured in Australia and they look like a Ford Mustang, but they're built by this Australian company called Mark Cars that are going to be racing around. Now if they had a decent BOP, I think they could threaten the GT3 cars. Unfortunately, that's not likely to happen, but it's great to see that little bit of variety. With a couple of GT4 cars out there running around, as well as a Mercedes and a BMW entered in 2020. It means with the Pro-Ams and the full top-level Intercontinental GT3 cars running around at the front, there's going to be constant passing. You're going to have back markers. And on a track like Bathurst, back markers can only mean one thing.
The other thing as well, the last thing we need to know about some of these silver drivers, some of the amateur drivers is one of these things, it's fitness.
Yeah.
And as races go on, particularly endurance races come on, the level of tiredness, the level of concentration sometimes breaks down, and you will see incidents at the end of these long races because you have hard-charging professional drivers coming through, and sometimes some of the amateur drivers who are just maybe beginning to wane a bit, and that brings its own drama. So loads, and I mean loads, to pay attention to with these guys on track.
There's more drama in the average Bathurst 12 Hours than there are in 20 years of Neighbours and Home Away combined. It's absolutely sensational. You've got teammates getting furious with each other, sometimes for silly mistakes like pressing the wrong button or making a rather silly spin right at the end of the race. And the closing stages of this race are absolutely notorious, not just amongst fans, but amongst racing drivers. Unlike some of the races like the Daytona 24 Hours or pretty much every NASCAR race these days, it's a super close finish and it's often defined by yellow flags. But what makes it unlike those American races is that these are not sort of debris yellow flags. These are real yellow flags caused by real incidents. You've got these fantastic finishes. Who can forget that amazing charge by Chio in the Nissan going from nowhere? I mean, he became an Australian citizen that day. He's so popular as a result of that. But he's not the only person to do it. And there's just something about the layout of Mount Panorama and the cars that they race at the Bathurst 12 hours, that just the finale of the race is always just utterly unpredictable, usually full of absolutely wheel-to-wheel tight battles, or, as was the case not too long ago, a red flag. But it's still just hang on till the end, because after 12 hours, it's fantastic.
But you can catch it all here.
So don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and join. Yes, join as well. Yes, and subscribe, because that makes us more racing.